Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm gonna turn you up a little bit because my Discord's very quiet right now.
Uh,
Okay, I think I've got you there.
All right.
Whoa,
Can you hear
there's
me now?
there's a lot of background noise where you are though.
Let me try to mitigate some of that. Is that better?
That'll do for now, yeah. What's been how have you been?
Not too bad. Just a lot of work. Um, Always work.
Yeah, with the whole
Odyssey,
management job? Yeah,
Lauren. Yeah, all the other stuff I do. Yeah.
cool. Um yeah, I guess do you want to ask me what you were asking in chat or is there anything else you want to talk about besides
Oh
that?
no, I was listening to Lauren the other day, and like from what I know, and around a lot of the people that I have to deal with, I hear a lot about Great Replacement, like a lot, right?
Mhm.
An annoyingly stupid amount, and I'm noticing that like her reasonings or whatever are seeming to change a little bit. Like it doesn't make it any better, right? 'Cause you're still believing in like in a theory, but it doesn't sound like she's believing in like actual great replacement theory as much as like it is like the voter demographic theory.
Yeah.
And the weird part about that is like that's kind of like a Nick Fuentes talking point, where he's like, why are we scared of like Nick Fuentes is talking point, like that shitbag, right? He's like, why are we scared of socialism? Socialism is the fucking problem, right? We need to take a look at immigrants and these other demographics of people when he's talking about races, right? Because these are the people that are going to vote for socialism. So fuck being scared of socialism. Be scared of immigrants. Be scared of black people. Be scared of Mexicans. Be scared of all this stuff,
Mhm.
not socialism. And it kind of seems like that it's a similar rhetoric, but for like a different outcome. Like she's not really scared of like demographic, voter demographic changing as much as she is like, well, like culturally erasure, and putting out hypocrisy with that. Like, well, like when Pisca was saying, oh, like, well, cultural or the demographic and culture change can be good. We're just modernizing. We're all becoming more intertwined, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying stuff like that, but at the same time you're going to hear what the right hears from the left, right, is fear of cultural genocide or the cultural erasure that happened to the natives or the cultural erasure here. But like it's okay when white European culture is erased, and that's what they're hearing, and that's what's fueling their fear from what I'm noticing.
Yeah, I think the best question I've heard, or maybe I did it myself, I don't know, is when you hear people talking like that, is always, I think it's always worth asking them, okay, what aspect of American culture are you afraid of losing? Because first of all, American culture is not European culture. There's no such thing as European culture. Like the cultural differences between like Polish people who have lived in the UK for 10 years and people who have lived here for who were born here is like massively different, right? Not one is not destroyed the other.
Well,
So,
we have European enclaves here too, right? Like, so people want to bring
hmm,
up you have like little like in San Francisco or stuff, like there's little Tokyo, there's Chinatown, there's these little small like demographic spots of people that are like from a culture, and they all kind of congregate together, right? But
yeah,
we have Little Italy, there's the French Quarter, there's a lot of like European enclaves too of European immigrants, right? But American culture, yes, is there's not one homogenous culture. It's a mishmash of all these different cultures, and they're little like sometimes self-segregated areas and sometimes like integrated areas.
yeah. So, yeah, so I think that kind of adds a little bit to my point though, because America is like very culturally diverse. And I'm just not sure what aspect of American culture is getting hurt that is getting hurt that wouldn't be changing if it wasn't for immigration.
They don't say European culture though. I'm saying
Yeah.
European culture because I understand the difference, right?
Mm.
They're saying white culture,
Okay, yeah. I wonder if I
right?
could even
Like,
ask about that as well. Like I get what you're saying. So I think sometimes I think earlier in that statement you kind of mentioned that people on the left will go like, "Yeah, white culture is getting destroyed, and that's awesome, and white people are shit." And like, yeah, so obviously that's like really cringe and all
yeah,
that because
I
you
mean, you
don't,
have the
yeah,
hyperbolic people on Twitter, like, yeah, we're breeding you out, ha ha ha, I can't wait to do this. And you have that kind of hyperbolic rhetoric. you have the like, the kill whitey rhetoric, you have that kind of stuff going around, and like, yeah, it's hyperbolic, yeah, maybe memeing, but to other people, it's not a meme, right? It's the same thing as like when white people make racist jokes. It's like, well, I'm just joking. Well, no, it's not actually a joke, right? There's intent, meaning, or something behind it that sounds malicious, and it's going to be offensive. But they don't want to take a look. Or I'm not going to say it's just the left doing it, because a lot of people say this that might not be leftist. Like, to be fair, but a lot of people are hearing this like anti-white rhetoric, even if it's in jest, right? Or if it's a joke, or if it's hyperbolic, but taking it as actual like threats and celebration of the death of like a white culture or white people or them being bred out.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just like a problem with political polarization because I mean I would say that when I hear white people worrying about the death of European culture or white culture or even American culture, I do think it's ridiculous, right? But I'm also very aware of the fact that fear is like incredibly powerful when it comes to
Oh
politics.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if that fear is real or not. Like say like I mean we've been talking about it the last couple of days, but like the state of Israel, like one of the reasons they do what they do and they turn so far right is because they prey on the fear of their citizens because their citizens think if we give an inch, we're just going to get like um whatever genocided again because like and then like people play into that fear quite like unnecessarily. So I think it's the same when like if you know that a group is getting radicalized by fear, it's probably best not to give them excuses to
Yeah,
think that fear
yeah.
is
I mean,
warranted. Yeah.
that type of rhetoric does more to. It's more effective at creating white supremacists and ethno nationalists than like pamphlets and recruiting from these organizations do. Right? It's more effective to just take the videos from these people on TikTok or YouTube or Twitch clips, right, and spread that around, and a bunch of white people see that and get scared
Mhm.
from the hyperbolic and dumbass. It's really dumb to say that kind of shit because you're creating people that are going to be more extremists based off of that fear, right? Same thing happened like with 9/11 and Muslim people.
Yeah.
Um, then and that's way more effective than like the KKK running around handing out pamphlets. Because like you see the KKK, you understand what that is. There's a bunch of negative connotations, so you don't want to be associated with that, or the white people don't want to be associated with that, right? But now if you start spreading this rhetoric, like oh, kill whitey, white people bad, cis white bad, like we're gonna replace like I can't wait to breed your people out. Death of whiteness is a good thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? They're not seeing any negative connotation with like a hate group, right? They're just
Mhm.
seeing a group of people, a large group of people, and to them it's the left, right, or leftists or progressives, and they can just be like, well, we're not a hate group. We are going this route because we are scared of these people who are spreading hateful rhetoric and calling for our deaths of our people and our culture and our way of life as they see it, right? And that's what the problem is.
Yeah, so it depends on like I guess all I can do or all someone who opposes that stuff can really do is just like if you have a choice, like either you can play into it and meme or whatever, which I don't think is very productive, or yeah, you just I guess it's always just a case of like asking the right questions, because I feel like if people like that can talk to enough progressives or even like people of color, like the same, like, because exposure therapy works with like white people who are scared of like foreigners, but if they meet enough of them, it's harder to hate them. I think it could be the same with progressive as well, because I feel like if you're a progressive, the thing you should talk about when you've got people who are just probably like getting initiated into that kind of politics is just to be like, okay, what in American culture is getting destroyed, or what in white culture, or even just you can use like positive examples as well, right? Because what I would say to people who are afraid of white culture being eradicated by immigrants is like, think about what happened to Black Americans, right? They were taken from their homes against their will. Their names were taken away. Some families were separated. Their genetic makeup was completely like mangled because of decades and centuries of rape. Their musical instruments were considered like, was it heathen or yeah, like so they were destroyed and confiscated. But at the end of 2 or 3 centuries of that, you end up with Black Americans dominating the 20th century with music and American culture, right? They still do to some degree, like rap music and that kind of stuff. So isn't like the point there that culture is like it's resilient? You can do quite a lot before culture becomes eradicated or like weakened.
Well, no, I get that, but the people that tend to believe this more extremist rhetoric don't want to take a look at those like outlier cases, right?
Mm.
And a lot of the times you have, where like you and me, like, well, I'm not really on either side of the party. Like I kind of stay pretty centrist. I don't believe that either party in the United States like fucking has my best interest as mine. But like, the left and the right just tend to, when you're saying the exposure therapy, right? The problem is, and you can see this a lot on, especially online, right? Is the left and the right will refuse to talk to each other.
Mm.
So you can't have exposure because I mean, like, look when, for example, I'm going to use Lauren Southern as an example, right? She popped into Twitch. What was the first thing everybody wanted to do? Get her banned, get her deplatformed, not engage. Call, don't engage with Lauren Southern, or you're a Nazi or a Nazi sympathizer, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where the left and the right just refuse to even like speak to each other, let alone have any exposure. And then the leftists that or the left or progressive people that do engage with these right leaning people, right, are now labeled as like people that support white supremacy or platform Nazis or this and that, and they're fucking held to accountable for the actions or thoughts or words of another person that they never said or espoused or agree with. So it's not really it's not really benefit. It's not something really like feasible. There's very few leftists that are willing to engage, and I mean, you were willing to engage, right? But like, I think you're one of the like the better people, one equipped to talk to more extremist people on either side, and you're one of the people that I think has a more reasonable head on their shoulders that doesn't is not like a reactionary to anything said by anybody. But we don't have that in large numbers. We don't have that across the board.
Yeah, I mean, there are, so like, I don't actually know anymore what my moral position is on platforming or deplatforming, because I'm quite happy to say that like Lauren Southern is still a dangerous person to me. I don't know, like, it's such an incredible talent to me to be so wrong on so many points, but still come out looking good or like pleasant or like whatever, like endearing to maybe an audience that isn't very initiated and doesn't really know what's going on. So like that's my honest perspective, but at the same time it's like, yeah, there is also something to be gained from engaging as well, right? Because the audience might also be only hearing about progressives from like a third party, which is really dangerous as well. So I don't actually know what the cost benefit is. I can imagine for left wing or like not even left wing creators, but like left or liberal creators, I think the risk is when you're talking to extremists, they always have more to gain from talking to you. I don't know why that is. I think it's because if you come onto internet politics, it's like it's because the mainstream doesn't work for you. It's because more centered politics is not working, and you come into the internet for something a bit more wacky and a bit more out there. And it makes a very good environment for like demagogues, which is why I think the badly kept secret that's going on right now with like Destiny talking to people like Mr. Girl or Nick Fuentes or whatever is like, I think every time Destiny talks to one of those people right now is he's doing them a much bigger favor than they're doing him. Do you have, or do you disagree with that?
Well, I mean, he didn't want to be stuck in that side of the internet having to debate these people, right? And Destiny has spoken many times about like when you start like trying to call for the deplatforming of everybody from a shared community, right? You're going to push them into these enclaves where the only place they can speak are these extremist outlets, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's spoken about this many times, and now like here everybody's complaining, oh well, Destiny's talking to Nick Fuentes and all these bad people. You gave him no choice.
Yeah.
The fucking shitbird leftists kept on pushing for ban, deplatform. Destiny's a Nazi. Destiny this, Destiny bad, ooh woo. I mean, for the great example, look at your fucking chat right now, right? Everything that is said about any person, right? Nazi, Destiny bad, Destiny dumb. It's the same shit. These are the people that forced Destiny into that enclave to where his only option is to speak with these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, listen, my chat or my rehabilitation project. I don't know,
well, chat's retarded, and every chat's retarded.
Jesus Christ! Okay,
flat
out. I do wonder, like, because I don't actually know though, because I hear that argument that if you push people out with deplatforming, they become more radical. But then the counter I would pose to that is, does deplatforming mean that less people become radical? Because those enclaves online, like 4chan, BitChute, they all existed at the same time as
Oh
YouTube.
yeah.
It's just that people had access to both of those places, but now they only have access to one. So while I agree that the radicals might be becoming more radical, what I'm more worried about is like how many people have the opportunity to become radical. Because I would
Well,
say
no,
that
the worst part about this isn't Destiny having to engage with the people, right? But his community, right? DGG is now watching nothing but him talk with Mr. Girl and Nick Fuentes,
mhm.
rather than a bunch of people. He can't talk to people on the Twitch sphere anymore, right? Unless they
Yeah.
decide to not be on Twitch and be on where Destiny is.
Yeah, but then so
Okay.
then my point would be that talking politically, I think that's still politically a bad decision. But yeah, I guess like he's doing it because he needs to make content, right? Is that what you're saying there, or do you think there's actually like a political reason for him to do
Well,
that?
I mean that's his job, right? His
Yeah.
job was to do this. This was his job for many years. So like, you push somebody to where they still got to do their job, but where are they going to do it? So now he's at a place where he's still able to do his job, and
Mhm.
people are still crying about who he's talking to when he can't talk to the people on Twitch because they're predominantly progressive, and they were the ones that tried to push him out anyway or pushed him out.
Because there's a reason. Um, yeah, I don't know how much I can blame him for that. Like I guess I still don't think it's like I don't know what I would do in that situation if I had something else. But like yeah, I guess it's kind of clear though, isn't it? Like that Destiny could have spoken to Fuentes while he was on Twitch. He could have just turned off Twitch and gone to YouTube for the Fuentes videos, right? They'd have been good content, good views, and all that. He didn't because I think he knows, right, that it's always like a net loss when he does. Even if he wins every debate and doesn't even slip up, but that's just how extremism works, right? Unless do you disagree with that or?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, yeah, it's really sad. So when you're talking about like Lauren Southern's view about cultural great replacement, right?
Yeah, cultural erasure or cultural replacement or like death of culture, whatever you want to call
I
it.
mean, the problem is
I
like
mean, that's what Lauren's. I from what I'm understanding, it's more of like she sees she sees it as hypocrisy, right? Where
okay,
the left wants to say like, okay, well, there was a big deal about cultural genocide with the Uyghurs. There was a big deal about cultural genocide when it came to and an actual genocide when it came to the native populations of America. And rather than like the left going, well, oh no, it was just modernizing times. This was just demographic replacement is good sometimes.
uh,
They're demonizing that, but when it happens to white people in the mind of the white right, then it's seen as a good thing to the
yeah.
left.
Okay, so I don't know if that's your position, so I'm just gonna pretend it is, so I don't feel like I'm.
It is not. I understand that I'm making an observation of what I see. I work with a lot of people on the far
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
This is an observation of what I'm seeing in their discussions with me and how they're trying to do their content. Because when they're setting out their content or writing their scripts, I'm going, okay, well, what the fuck do you mean by this?
Yeah,
And then we have to have a little discussion. Then we get the script done. So this is just an observation. I do not agree or subscribe to great replacement theory. I'm not white, and like this is like I could give a fuck.
It's okay, yeah. So I'm just going to talk to you as if you are, just because it feels more natural to me.
That's
But yeah,
fine. That's fine.
like
Go
I
for
just
it.
think that's like incredibly fucking stupid. Because like when you do the thing, when you call it a genocide, okay, first of all, you're implying intent. You're implying that there's nothing like when you do it. This is why This is why great replacement is so bad, right? Because when they say replacement, it was originally about birth rates, right? Like, and the point
Yes.
about birth rates is that birth rates and replacement, because they talk about replacement birth rates, is that you are, whether you know you're doing it or not, and this is why I don't think ignorance is a good enough excuse, whether you know you're doing it or not, the reason they use that language deliberately is because they want to lead you into seeing it as a genocide. Because one of the ways the international community, the international courts decide what's a genocide or not. It's a lot based on precedent. And one of the things that you observe if you want to call something a genocide is birth rates. Like birth rates are a very good indicator of what's a genocide. So Columbus goes to South America, the birth rates of the tribes that live there drops to zero. The Uyghurs, one of the big damning pieces of evidence now is that the birth rates in that area have plummeted. So you see, like it's like a necessary precedent to call something a genocide. Whereas communities intertwining and culture changing is just the way of the world, right? It's not like a planned destruction.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just the fact that culture doesn't like
Well, that's
the
why it's being
yeah,
integrated. But
yeah.
what I was saying, and this ties back, so what I was saying earlier, right, is it's not about what's actually happening, right? This is not what they're looking at. They're not looking at like the numbers, the reasons, right? Because we
Mm,
understand that the lower birth rates right now are not due to like a replacement thing. It's mostly due to like a financial thing. People aren't wanting to have kids. It's very hard to like support them, especially in America. And then like there's the abortion stuff going on in Supreme Court and that. So like there's many other factors that are causing the decline in birth rates.
yeah.
Now, but what I'm saying regarding this, when you brought up like intent, right? This is what I'm showing is like when they're seeing these TikToks, when they're seeing these Twitter posts, when they're seeing these hyperbolic statements, and these statements made in like ironic, joking, right? Of like we're gonna breed you out, we're gonna replace you, death of whiteness
Mhm.
is great, right? They are seeing intent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. And there's just not really anything I feel like I can do about that, because even if there were like maybe only 20 people a week in the whole of the United States did that on TikTok, right?
Those
Um,
are the people that are gonna be put on blast. That's gonna be spread like
yeah, the
wildfire.
compilations,
It's
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you and I understand that like the people that are saying these things are the smallest minority, right? But these are the people that are getting the most airtime, retweets, like shares and stuff like that, because it's such a controversial, like clickbaity statement to say. So it's
Mhm.
gonna be tossed around like, look, these are all the leftists, and it's like, no, that's one fucking dickhead retard. We don't claim him. I don't even know this motherfucker,
Yeah.
and his name's probably Bad Empanada.
Yeah, he does talk like that, yeah. Yeah, so I don't yeah, so someone in my chat is saying the right would see intent even if there is none. Well,
Yeah, I see.
no, I mean like there are things that, let's say that's true. That still doesn't mean that you as an individual don't have to give them one more reason to see intent, right? Like
Yeah, it's one thing to
that's
claim that
just
they
think
would
about
see
all you can
intent,
do.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Even if there was none. But the fact is, people are giving them intent, right? And they're giving them something to be able to share, spread within their circles, within their Twitter spheres, within their Telegram secret Nazi chats, right? They're giving them content to share and spread this fear and spread this and like showing this to younger people that aren't understanding of the nuance and like the fact that like these kids in high school that are starting to see this, like the white kids in high school, the white right kids in high school, right, that are seeing this spread in their Twitter terminally online bullshit spaces, right? They're now going to be able to see this fear and be like, look, they're wanting to attack me, my future, whatnot. And this is going to help create more extremism. When like as a leftist, I believe right wingers should call up other right wingers that do stupid shit, just as I believe leftists should cut out all other leftists that do stupid shit, just like
Mhm.
Loner Box did with bad dumb fuck. Um, and stop this type of thing, because you're just going to create more extremists, and like extremists is a bad thing on either side.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. I've always until very recently, I've been a lot more sympathetic to left wing extremism because I didn't really associate it with the kind of madness that it usually is. But yeah, like yeah, so when I see people with like, yeah, that's why I would always say, just like, okay, if you're faced with someone like this, just like, I think the main thing is like genocide is like, okay. Sometimes you can just give it like a slap on the wrist and be like, come on, like the genocide that's happening to the Uyghurs is happening in camps, and they're like trashing mosques, and it's like the most surveyed like place in the world, and they're like arresting people for no reason and shit. Yeah, I think you can maybe address the hyperbole a little bit in a kind of like like shake them out of it a little bit, but otherwise it's just like, yeah, I would probably ask just people like, what when you say about like American culture or white culture or European culture like getting hurt by immigration or whatever, like do you see that happening to any degree, or do you think it's just like kind of
Wait,
fabricated,
wait. Do I see what happening to
like
Any Green?
culture being eradicated? Like,
No, not
yeah,
not in America. Like America is a place that used to pride itself on like the fact that like it was a multicultural thing. There was no define. American culture was all these cultures that came to America. That like America used to pride itself on that. Like if you remember like history.
yeah, yeah.
Yet yeah, even though like the government never gave them all equal fucking rights, but they tend to pride themselves on the fact that it was a giant cultural like mix up. in a cultural melting pot. And for some reason, the fucking whites here in the far right, the radical right, forgot that, and want to just be like, no, 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 no. America's white culture. That no, it's not. And they're all these people want to benefit on the cool things they like from all these cultures. They have no problem, running to fucking Taco Tuesday, and white people taco night, and all this shit, regarding like my culture and stuff, and in California, at least from my perspective and what I see. But at the same time, they don't like the immigrants that come here to do that, and it's
Yeah.
like they want the benefits of our cultures, and like you can't sit here and like separate the culture from the people, right? Like culture and people are intrinsically tied, or we wouldn't have things like, oh my god, cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Um, so like you got to understand, like these people, these things that you like are going to come with the people that bring it here. And so we have to kind of like go back to the thing that America is a multicultural, like mixing pot,
Hmm.
and and that is what it is. So American culture is the culture of immigrants that came here. America is the culture of fucking white settler Europeans. The American culture is native culture. American culture is Mexican culture, African culture, ADOS culture as well, which is separate from African culture, obviously, because they lost their culture and they developed their own here.
Hmm.
This is American culture, and people are going to have to accept that. That is what it is. So it's not really a demographic changing, right? There's
Yeah.
just more of one culture coming up just naturally because they're coming here. There's not a bunch of more white Europeans moving over here. But we do have a lot more other immigrants, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That is a very good thing. And there's no intent to like there's no actual intent, no matter what the hyperbolic dumb shits on TikTok and YouTube and what say, there's no actual
Yeah.
intent to come over here with the intention of breeding out the white race within America, or, to kill all the whiteys. There's no like master conspiracy plan to do that. So the fact that this is what's believed, for the most part, is just taken off the fact of those, like that small minority of people that put this dumb shit out there to give people a reason to be afraid.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think of a point that you might not have heard before. Yeah. Sorry, I have one. So like I think one of the big problems that I would say about like the optics of the left is when you're, and this was my experience growing up as well. I don't know how common it is, maybe not, but when you're on the left, like I think people overestimate how powerful like an actual like a left winger is, right? Like liberals have a lot of power in like America and Europe and all that. But if you're like quite far left, like a Bernie Sanders type, like the amount of influence you have in the world is like very limited. And I think what happens is
That depends on the age. To be fair, that depends on the age group. Because if you go younger in age groups in America, they're going to be more on that far left side with Bernie.
yeah, yeah.
Also, not necessarily a bad thing, but like, yeah, it's not in mainstream yet. But as
Yeah.
these people get older and they pass on their values to their kids, you're going to see a more like shift in demographics towards that farther left positions.
I think so too. I don't think they're going to turn conservative as they get older either, because they're not going to like own houses by the age of 25 like they used to. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, and I think the problem is that when you have like people on the left who are like that and they don't really have any political sway, is they tend to get a little bit, I don't even think they realize it, but they become very defeatist and kind of like deflated about that. And then there's a few ways you can cope with that. One is to just keep trying to move liberals over, keep trying to move conservatives over. Or there's the other option, which I think most left wingers do, is they relish in the fact that most people don't understand them. They kind of like it, and then they play into the negative stereotypes because it makes them feel like that's what makes them feel powerful. I don't know if you ever heard the phrase like impotence corrupts just as much as power. Like I think when you have what happened, especially after Bernie lost or after Corbyn lost in the UK, you've got like a very disempowered left wing, and a lot of them do just go into this very insular community where instead of trying to expand their influence and trying to expand their power and coalition build and build bridges and shit, they tend to do the opposite, which is to like purity tests, right? So like
Yeah.
your political identity becomes more of a like a fashion statement or an identity statement rather than a political objective. And the very extreme end you get of that, like the ultimate would be someone like Bad Empanada, right? where you just like he's probably been called like an anti-Semite or a pro-terrorist too many times, and he's just gone, you know what, fuck it, I am an anti-Semite terrorist sympathizer, and then he's just gone
Oh my
straight
god!
into it.
Yesterday, did you see the game he was playing? And I don't want to touch that fucking disgusting motherfucker.
Mhm.
But no, I think that another thing, like you were just talking about, like, well, we need to move the liberals over, we need to move the conservatives over. That type of rhetoric also hurts that too, because like you're not going to be able to move them over when you're pushing liberals out of the left. Like, oh, a liberal like Destiny's a fucking liberal. Okay, we
Mhm.
know this, but the left is like, oh no, well, you're not even left. Fuck you. You're just a conservative. You're a Nazi sympathizer conservative, right? These people are not going to move over to your positions. They're not going to move over to more leftist positions, sock dems, socialists, whatever, right? They're not going to move that. They're being pushed away. A lot of these people are going to be pushed away to the point where they're like, okay, well, I was trying to be an ally and I said something wrong like twice, then I got fucking, attacked online by 50 fucking people or like 500 people on my Twitter because I said that Israel isn't inherently Zionist, and now like all these fucking leftists are trying to attack me. And that type of stuff is going to push people the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Because the sad fact is, like, the right is more welcoming. The right might be very exclusive in like excluding people, right? But when it comes down to it, they are the most accepting of people coming into the right. They will accept anybody. If you're gay, they'll accept you. They will talk shit about you behind your back, but to your face, they're going to be the most respectful, kind, share food, hang out with you, be very kind to your face. The second you're gone, no, they'll talk shit, right? Now the left, they'll just do it to your fucking face, berate you, attack you. And like, this is bad for getting people towards leftist positions. This is very bad.
Yeah, I really don't like it because obviously I disagree with Destiny on like a million things. Like, I think it's funny that people say I've moved to the right like in the last couple of years, even though I don't think a single one of my political positions has changed. I might even have gone more left on some things, but yeah, it's really I really hate it. Especially I keep saying this as well. If you have someone like Destiny, like all the character flaws aside, okay, because there's a lot of them, like I don't know how outdoors people like need to be lacking in because like Destiny is more left wing than like probably like he's probably like in the upper 90th percentile of like all human beings on earth when it comes to being left wing, right? Like socially progressive, economically progressive, and yeah. Uh but if someone like that is too far right for you, I mean you can dislike him for all other reasons. But if it's just the politics, then yeah, there's something wrong going on. Fuck. There's someone in my chat who asked you. I think I know the answer to this question, but I thought it'd be interesting. They're asking you. I'm confused. Wasn't she? Should be she. Wasn't she saying you should talk to every weirdo on the right and not deplatform them? But with Empanada says you shouldn't touch the guy because he's disgusting.
Well, here's the difference, right? So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people on the right, okay, on Twitch, right, that are saying, hey, kill these people. These people should be killed.
Yeah.
Okay. Bad Empanada flat out is.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. Yeah.
That's the difference.
The fact that there are people in my Discord right now who are like twisting themselves into fucking pretzels and watching their spines melt into like little noodles over that shit when there's like they'll ban someone like for saying like something about black crime rates, even though they might be asking a question and they'll be like mods, but someone who actually wants to kill like millions of people by virtue of them like being born in Israel is like
No,
you
flat
know.
out. No, I can make a comparison. When Destiny said like the protesters should be fucking I don't remember what his exact words, right? If they were dealt with or like taken out or like, some form of like thing. Now, I don't know if he meant to kill, but if he flat out said like kill, that's a bannable like what the fuck offense, don't engage, right?
Yeah.
When Vosh said turn Israel into bus windows or something like that one time, right? Fuck that. That same my fucking same standard.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But like the thing is, you have people that hate Rob Noir, want to call him, a fucking, Nazi or whatever. Cool, great. But guess what? He has never said we should kill these people.
Yeah.
Lauren Southern has never been on a stream saying we should kill these people.
Mhm.
I don't even know if Nick Fuentes has flat out said we should kill these people.
He's been
probably
close.
has.
Yeah, he's tiered along the edge. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say
but Bad Empanada has outright, not even low key, not even trying to hide it, right? Has just flat out openly said these people should be killed, every one of them. And then on top of that, I don't care who you are. If you're throwing your support behind a terrorist organization, Yeah, fuck you. Like that's fucking stupid as fuck.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think you could yeah, you could definitely go to a place where like you don't have to say you want to kill someone to be dangerous, but yeah, like it's a very clear line. Like
Yeah, I'm just
yeah,
saying in this context why I said this. Like,
yeah,
Lauren Southern knows that if she ever crosses a line, I'm not working for her. But she hasn't crossed
mm,
that line on a stream or anything that I've done. I'm not accountable for her actions or her words. I'm just an employee, and
can
I'm not going
I?
to hold other people accountable for if you're flipping burgers at Burger King. I'm not going to hold you accountable for what your boss's fucking actions or voting record is or whatever the fuck. Um, so don't shit on a fucking trans woman for getting my fucking bag. I have boundaries too, and everybody I work for knows if they cross that boundary, I'm walking.
Okay, I do have a slightly. I don't want to put you on the spot, right? But let's say hypothetically, fuck, I feel like this is a bit of a mean question on the spot.
Go ahead.
Let's
I don't
say
care.
Lauren went back to calling to like the language of barbarians and great replacement, like flat out, and talking about places being conquered and shit like that, or would you still associate?
Wait, places being conquered?
There's a few clips of her in the past, 2016, when she said that
Oh, yeah,
like
that's on the Stefan
towns in the
Molyneux shit,
UK,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
were
yeah,
being
yeah. Yeah,
conquered,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Probably not, but, like, I haven't heard her say, like and I've had offline discussions with her going like, "Well, what are your actual positions? What the fuck do you mean?" Like, because I didn't understand a lot of this when I came into, like, working for someone who was perceived as far right. So, like, I had to get, like, a grasp on this. So, like, I heard this, I heard, you and other people talking about her history with the Great Replacement, so I had to go do a lot of fucking reading.
Mm,
Um and a lot of stuff for historical context regarding people that I worked for.
yeah,
And is she seems to be going in a different direction or for different mean reasonings. Okay. Um and yeah, no, I think that would be like a cut if she were to turn into like old shithead self, because she's criticized her past behavior. She did it on that stream with Destiny and Pisco, and like basically said, I won't take anything back just because I want to trigger the left.
yeah,
But if she were to unironically go back to that kind of stuff, then yeah, I'd be like, yeah, no, bye, I gotta go.
yeah. Okay.
But at the same time, like, to be fair, since working for them, Danny and I have been able to shift some of her positions on trans. She doesn't believe trans is a mental illness. And I can't argue with the whole like gender dysphoria thing because until it's not in the DSM, I can't really fucking argue that. So technically, she's correct. With gender dysphoria being a mental illness, I can't argue with the American Psychiatric Association. There's no scientific data to back me up against that. Um, so I mean, there are net positives. She does get access, or she gets to hear me bitch talk and complain and call her a boomer and a retard, or sorry, an idiot in her
Mm,
DMs constantly. But at the same time, I get to learn about this, and I mean, she's not been nothing but respectful to me and kind when people have spoken out against me from the right. Even she has stood up for me, and that's more than I can say for a lot of people on the left
mm,
who just wanted my head because I got a job for Lauren. Um, and so yeah, Lauren's kind of like my problematic friend, and I'm pretty problematic as well.
yeah,
There's a lot of history and contention with me too. I'm not fucking perfect, but I don't ever claim to be. But yeah, no, I have boundaries, and but I also stick true to like kind of my stance is like there can't be any working together unless we're willing to have a discussion with the people on the other side,
mm,
be it left, far right, as long as they're not calling for the open killing and murdering of people in mass for immutable traits or characteristics or some shit like that. We should be able to fucking have a discussion with them and figure out why the fuck they think that way. Because if we understand why, we're going to be able to have a better discussion that might bring them down using logic, facts, and stuff. Maybe not. Maybe they're just too ingrained and fucking like cemented into their positions. But like, if we understand why they think that way, it's better for us to be able to de-radicalize people from both the left and the right.
yeah.
And
Um,
I mean far left, not just your average like leftist, but I'm talking like the far crazy leftist and the far right.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel like oh god, my chat's losing their shit. I might give you one slightly more difficult question just to feed them. I don't actually know where I stand on this myself. As far as apologies go, I don't give a
Oh
shit.
my god, your
Like,
chat's so dumb. She tried to kill people on a boat. Oh please, I would love for you, Paul Squall, pull up that video and show me where she tried to kill people.
well, to
Because
be
this has been gone over many times. She didn't try to kill anybody. First, it was she shot a bunch of kids on a fucking. The first rumor is she shot a bunch of migrant kids on a boat. Then it was like no, she shot at the boat with a flare gun. Then it was no, she shot a flare gun to alert authorities. To like we watched the video in slow mo and she's holding a flare like a fucking cringe Karen on a boat yelling like no human trafficking. Yeah, it's cringe. Yeah, it's boomer as fuck. But she didn't try to kill a boat full of migrant kids. Get the fuck out of here.
okay. Just to push back a little bit. I agree. Yeah, that's mostly true. Did you see the interview with Mr. Girl?
No, I refuse to watch it. I told
You don't
Lauren I
like him?
refuse to watch anything with Mr. Girl.
Okay.
Everybody attacked me for I was put on a panel full of problematic people with Mr. Girl, and I refused to call him Mr. Girl, and I kept interrupting just to call him pedophile, and I referred to him only as pedophile, and then he rage quit the entire panel
Okay.
within like 10 minutes.
Just
I
to,
hate that guy.
just regarding the boats, because I'm pedantic. Um, there is a clip of her with Mr. Definitely Not a Nonce. He asked her, like, you attempted to block the ship, knowing that it was going to possibly go and rescue drowning people. Is that true? To which she responds, sure, yeah, I guess I can accept that. So I think that's the bit that people get mad about, right? Is that she, like, if the boat hadn't moved out of the way, it might have been late to rescue people. And she's okay with that. Like, so for me personally, I don't give a fuck about apologies or whatever. And she's probably not going to do that again. Very unlikely. Um, but yeah, just to clarify that that's the problem with the boat is that like there was the chance that it could
Sure,
have,
that can be a problem. But if the leftists are going to throw a fit about that, they need to also die on the hill. If they're going to die on that hill, they also need to die on the hill that BLM supporters in the road blocking emergency vehicles that were on the way to save children or potentially save dying people, right? Be held to that same standard.
yeah, I would do the same. Yeah. Cool. I'm trying to think where else I'm. where
Like,
else am I going?
I hate to
Oh,
bring a comparison or whataboutism, but like that's the same hill.
yeah, no, I think so too. I mean, just to be clear, like most protesters have a policy that they will move for ambulances, but yeah, there's definitely some footage of them not doing
There's
it.
multiple cases of them not.
Yeah. Um. So, no, I'm not gonna.
Give me a real one to piss off your chat. Let's go.
Um.
Yeah,
Well, more
I'm what the
Lauren
right
Southern
considers
memes.
one of the good people.
I don't know. It's just
I'm one of the good trans people.
yeah, God, it's all just past shit. Like, so yeah, I know she she like was also basically advocating for like the group that she was with, you know, Generation Identity, like
Generation identity.
their mission was to pick people up themselves and not take them to Europe, but take them to Libya, which they didn't do because they know that the Libyan Coast Guard are murderers, right? They might
Weren't
murder
they there?
the
Weren't they there
Yeah.
not for migrants, but weren't they there actually for like anti-human trafficking stuff? Because there was a
Well,
lot of human trafficking going
No,
on.
the problem is that they consider saving asylum seekers and trafficking the same thing. So if you're an asylum seeker,
There is documented evidence of like migrant like movements using or some people there is document, and this happened all along when they were coming into the U.S. Mexico border as well. Some traffickers using that as kind of like a cover
yeah,
to get people in.
well, yeah, it is. So that's the thing, though, is that this is what happens. Like, so you say you're in North Africa, you pay a trafficker to take you over. You haven't done anything illegal yet. The traffickers have, but then what happens is the traffickers will put them in boats that are cheap and are very likely to sink.
Yeah.
So the people in the boat that's likely to sink will send out a distress call to the refugee boats, and the refugee boats will pick them up and make sure they don't and can continue the journey to Europe safely. So
yeah,
that's
what they said that they were going over there for.
Yeah.
I mean that was their intent.
Mhm.
However, the way I think they should have handled it is like I'm pretty sure these countries have a way to vet people that are coming in, and I think that would be, you know, like unless the person trafficking that person is on the boat with them and putting themselves at that same risk, I'm pretty sure that there should have been an opportunity for, say what it was Italy, right? So Italian authorities to pull them and be like, "Hey, are you being trafficked or something like that?" I
Well,
think this is something that could have been done and should have been done.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, if you're being trafficked, that might still be that you've got a legitimate refugee claim. It could just be that you had to flee a
No,
war,
true.
but you had to
Yeah.
get trafficked. That was the only way. So
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah, yeah.
like, so yeah, but that's the thing is that the refugee boats were doing the right thing because they were picking up people and taking them to the Italian authorities. They were doing the right
Yeah.
thing. Whereas
Oh no, no,
Generation I,
like
yeah,
I said, what Lauren did was cringe and wrong and boomer as fuck.
yeah.
But I from what I understand of the reasoning, that was their reasoning. But I think that they did it wrong, and it was cringe and fucking stupid, and they put themselves and other people at risk,
Mm.
and that's fucking like I said, cringe,
Yeah,
dumb as fuck.
thankful they didn't get their way as well because I think
Oh yeah,
Generation
she's 27,
Identity.
but she still got that dumb boomer brain. Don't fucking deny that.
True. Millennials, that's what they're like. Yeah, I think well, I think at least the so as far as I know, the thing that makes it a bit less horrible for me is that Generation Identity kind of probably realized that Libya was like in civil war, so they were never going to take people there. As far as I know, they picked up a few people and took them to Greece and then got arrested because what they were doing, they weren't licensed. But yeah. Um but yeah,
But they were, I think they were detained, not arrested, because they weren't charged with anything.
no, this was Generation Identity separate. Like, this was like when they
Oh, okay.
built the but yeah, they had
Okay, got
that.
it, got it,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think, yeah, but when people are going to call that out, it's like the point is that if you had gotten your way, they'd have gone to a Libyan detention center, probably sold into slavery, abused, murdered, whatever.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, most
Um,
likely.
but actually, since we're on that topic, I've always wanted to ask someone who's like not very far left this question. Is so trafficking in the Mediterranean or Mexico and all that, is human smuggling inherently a bad thing?
Depending on what it's for, if there's no harm coming to the person, right, and it's getting them out of a bad situation, I don't think that's wrong. But the problem I have is, a lot of the things going on in, from, one half of me, like my country, right, my family, um, into here, right, is the fact that there is like a lot of people being trafficked for sex trafficking,
Hmm.
and child sex trafficking, and that, like, there's harm coming to the person being trafficked, right? That's where it's bad. So like,
Yeah.
they're not just escaping something; they're being put into something negative. They're not escaping something negative,
Yeah.
and I think that's horrible and vile. And so, because so much of it isn't just being trafficked for like escaping a bad life to get a better life, since so much of it is causing harm, I think until we can mitigate or get rid of that negative trafficking, that like all trafficking is a net negative because it's giving the possibility of so much of this negative shit to happen.
Yeah, I always think that's like because I think with conservatives, like that's like their main flaw is they always talk as if trafficking is like the root of the problem, but like no, the root is that people need to leave. Yeah. Um,
True, but like until we can get rid of that negative side of it, like I think
hmm.
that the easiest route is to be able to stop, like just stop, try to stop it all until we can just get to the root of this shit and stop that. And then whatever, like as long as people aren't being put into negative situations, sex slavery, etc., like, that's the bad part.
Someone wants me to ask you about Palestine.
Oh, is that? Oh, it's Wine Mom. They're
Yeah.
still mad.
Okay. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm done with that discourse for a wee while. Um, yeah. No, I'm talking to someone about that later in the week. That's fine.
Fun.
I think someone's asking me to push back, but I think that's a DGG meme.
Push back on what? I think we agree on most things.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think that people understand, just because I work for someone does not mean I hold their or espouse their beliefs or views. That is a possibility, contrary to leftist belief.
Damn. Chat. She's attacking you.
Yeah, get
Debate
fucked,
pervert
chat.
hard. Yeah, I should debate pervert. Oh,
Oh my god, we're gonna be doing call Keffels. The fuck is
yeah.
that bitch gonna do?
Who's the best rapper alive? Oh,
There is the best rapper's dead. His name was Tupac.
damn. Based. Well, This was
Oh
a.
my god! Hey, look, there's someone in chat claiming I'm media trained.
Are you? I, are you actually media trained? I don't. That's a meme, surely.
I work in big media, but I'm not media trained.
Yeah, I didn't think a lot of those people were media trained. Would you recommend the new Lauren Southern documentary?
No, I'm gonna be real. To be honest, yes, she does a lot of work, and I will credit her for this. She does a lot of work humanizing. Like a lot of people on the right want to dehumanize the immigrants. They really do. Okay, and I massive credit to Lauren. Like for once, right? She did such a good job at humanizing these people, and then waited until like the last 2 minutes at the end to fucking do like the crazy right wing rhetoric.
Really?
Like at the very end, but like she does a really good job at humanizing the immigrants in the situations south of the border.
See,
And
that was
props to
my so if it's so that was my problem with the borderless one, was because it was like 1 minute of humanizing, and then but this is why they shouldn't be allowed to come, and I'm like, okay, but okay, I'll have a look anyway. I might I don't know if I can review it on stream. Is it not going to get DMCA'd or what?
I won't DMCA it.
Thanks. What, are you the person? Are you the one in charge of that?
The YouTube and Twitch mostly.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, I look forward to a higher ratio of.
I'll message Lauren. I'm sure she can make an exception.
Yeah. She doesn't hate me.
She doesn't hate anybody. She'll think people are dumb or stupid or whatever. I have not heard. No, okay, hold on. No, I don't think I've ever heard her say she hates anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard her say she hates anybody. Maybe Destiny.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, this was a surprisingly pleasant conversation.
Yeah, go figure. I'm not a crazy asshole.
I don't mean it that way. I just mean that, sometimes just nothing happens, That was actually quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you though.
Yeah, do you have any memes? Do you want to shout yourself out? Anything? You want to
I'm not a streamer. I'm Samantha Savage. I produce for multiple people left and right. I produce for large media. I do live production and podcasts. So if you want to catch me and my points and my radical centrism, you can catch me and Counterpoints and Tiberius D on the Mask Off podcast Sundays on Twitch on twitch.tv/Tiberius_D. And yeah, hang out, have fun. And don't bring your Nazi friends. They can go get fucked.
Nice. Can I make this a YouTube VOD saying that I'm talking to Lauren Southern's manager? Can I inflate your position?
Producer, not manager.
Okay, I'm gonna call you senior executive. All right.
The Lauren Southern's alt. Yeah, go for it.
All right. Take care then. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye. I told you I would do it, chat. I don't give. Okay, look. I don't give a fuck about converting leftists. Okay, you guys are fine. You're here. You do your thing. You hate me because I said Destiny's not a fascist. Okay, whatever. We're bridge building. Okay, this is my job now. Okay, I am a bridge builder. I'm not gonna be out here like me, Jeff Bezos and Zionist and taxes 99%. I'm not gonna. No. Why do you don't need that? Okay, you got a million other people to do that for you. Okay, I'm gonna be like, hey, liberal, conservative. Hey, all my friends are assholes, but here's why they're right about some things. That's how that's gonna go. Talking to Lauren Southern's Riefenstahl. Yes, we got it. Minister of Propaganda. We're building pontoon bridges, guys.